Just downloaded our file from the Maker Vault on the project that we just previously made. The next thing we're going to do is take the final measurements on our board. In the X direction, the board is 3 1/4. We're going to measure our 6. We're going to find the middle of the board over here. We'll go here. We're going to mark the middle of the board, and we're going to also find the thickness, which is 0.628. So we're going to make it 0.63 to cut all the way through.
Pause.
The project is 6 inches. What I'm going to do is make an inch mark here. Draw a line. Go 6 inches. Make another line. And our file, our X0, Y0, is in the middle of the board. So when we set up the Mogul, 0, 0 will be right there. Finishing putting the clamps on, and when I told you I had a 1 inch here, it was so we had room to place the clamps safely. In case we had to cut, we can now cut anywhere in our cutting area. Next, we're going to put 0x, 0y, and 0z right on that X. Our X was 3.5. Our Y was 6. Our thickness is 0.634. We are material surface, that's where we're zeroing off of. It's in the middle of the board. We click OK. Now it's going to go through the material. We want it to give us that warning. The reason we got that error was because when we designed it, we originally designed 0.75. So that was going to be definitely through 0.634. So to fix it, we hit the little arrow here. We don't have to change our pocket, that still is correct, but we have to change the profile, which is we're cutting it out. So we double click it. The depth cut was 0.77. We can say Z plus 0.02 equals, and it'll automatically calculate 0.65634, so it'll actually cut through by a little bit, and then do calculate. And then you get the error because we want to cut through the board. For our first thing, we're pocketing and we're using 1/8 of an inch. So to put the collet in, you just push it in and you hear a click. Now you can put it on the spindle and then put the bit in and tighten. We just finished setting up our Z0, our X, and our Y. So I'm going to hit 0 all. Then I'm going to increase the jog speed and lift the Z axis off the project. After calculating our G code and we loaded the file, we're going to be 1 inch above our board. We're going to do an air cut to make sure there aren't any problems. You hit cycle start. Re-zeroed the Z-axis, so now it's on top of our workpiece. We loaded the other file, which we're going to do our pocket cut. So the next thing we're going to do is turn on the spindle and run the program. a bit change. We went from an 1/8 inch end mill to a 1/4 inch end mill. We are now going to zero only the 0 axis. It is important that you zero it. Experienced people have broken end mills or wrecked their piece simply because they forgot to zero only the Z axis. Now if you notice, X and Y are not zeroed. It's because we're not zeroed on the project, but the program will zero it when we run the program. Y was not at 0. The yellow is not on the blue dot. That is okay. When the program runs, it will take it into consideration. Also, we now have to load the other file to cut it out. That is important. Go to 0. You can see the mark is now, the yellow is on the blue. And if you go to the project, it is right in the middle of our project. But now before we start, we're going to lift up the Z axis. Turn on our spindle. We're hitting cycle start. But let's say something happened. If you hit feed hold, it will stop the machine, not the spindle. So you can do things, but be careful about that spindle because it's still moving. To keep it going, all you do is hit hold again and it'll cut. Hit feed hold, again stop. Feed hold again. You know what though? On the step track, it just do that. The piece, you can see the tabs. They're all intact. And you can also see the spoil board. This is how it should look if everything was set properly.